say allegedly, has done things and allegedly participated in a lot of things that the public would not be happy to know.
Has to take responsibility for what he did as an individual. Sean is the one who pulled that gun out. Sean is the one who shot. So he has to take responsibility for that.
The scandal surrounding Diddy and Jay Z has set the entertainment world ablaze with controversy, leaving fans, critics, and even their closest allies questioning the extent of their influence and the murky tactics they've allegedly employed to maintain their status. But here's the real kicker. As their reputations unravel, the spotlight is exposing a pattern of intimidation, manipulation, and alleged behind-the-scenes power plays that seem ripped straight from a Hollywood thriller. Let's dive into how Diddy, even while locked away in a high-security facility, and Jay Z, still walking free, appear to be orchestrating efforts to control the narrative, silence witnesses, and possibly rewrite their own legacies.
Well, Combs is separated from the general population, right? He's with, or was with, Sam Bankman-Fried at least, and the irony there is that's someone who was granted bail, tried to tamper with witnesses, so the judge revoked his bail. So that just goes to show how these federal judges feel about witness tampering before trial.
Let's start with Diddy. You'd think being behind bars would limit his ability to exert influence, but apparently that's not the case. According to recent court filings, Diddy has allegedly been pulling strings from his jail cell like a puppet master. Prosecutors claim he's been in constant communication with individuals outside the detention center, leveraging unauthorized means of contact to reach potential witnesses and victims. The methods: reportedly, he's been using the phone accounts of other inmates to make calls, bypassing prison regulations, and using sneaky tactics like three-way calling to get around restrictions on who he's allowed to contact. And here's where it gets even messier. These calls are said to be laced with coded language, ensuring that even if authorities were monitoring him, they'd struggle to decipher his true intentions.
So yesterday, Monday, Diddy celebrated his 55th birthday, but this year was a lot different. It was no Diddy parties. It was none of that. None of that stuff. Well, happily so, I guess, right now. But anyway, so this is his first birthday behind bars.
What's he allegedly saying during these calls? Prosecutors argue that Diddy has been instructing family members and associates to dig up dirt on witnesses, intimidate them, and even offer payouts to keep them from testifying. One particular note, reportedly seized from his jail cell during a routine sweep, allegedly detailed strategies for finding compromising information on individuals involved in the case. Think about that for a second. This man is sitting in a detention center, yet he still seems to have the reach and resources to influence people on the outside. It's almost as if he believes his power is immune to the four walls surrounding him. Then there's his use of subtle threats veiled in coded language. For instance, one intercepted phone call reportedly included Diddy referring to keeping the worms away from the house and reminding someone that he kept a sample just in case. Now, what exactly does that mean? Many have speculated this is code for holding on to incriminating evidence as leverage, a classic tactic to ensure loyalty and silence. And let's not forget his cryptic references to weathering a storm and needing vitamins to stay strong. If this sounds like the script of a spy film, that's because it practically reads like one. But it doesn't stop there. Diddy's legal team is clearly feeling the heat from his antics. During a recent bail hearing, his own lawyers expressed frustration that he's making their job nearly impossible. Despite their advice to stay quiet and maintain a low profile, Diddy has allegedly gone rogue, ignoring their guidance and continuing to push boundaries. For example, he recently posted a video on social media featuring his children, clearly trying to soften his public image and sway potential jurors. Prosecutors were quick to pounce on this, labeling it a blatant attempt to influence public perception and undermine the justice process. The video, while heartwarming on the surface, raised eyebrows because of its timing and intent. Was it a genuine fatherly moment or a calculated move to paint himself in a favorable light? Either way, it's clear that Diddy isn't playing by the rules, and his legal team appears to be scrambling to contain the fallout.
No, I'm not surprised by the ruling because, as she cited in her order, there are very serious allegations about the danger that he potentially poses to other witnesses and the public at large. There are allegations that he has, been violent with others. He's also attempted to allegedly intimidate other witnesses and still contact witnesses while incarcerated.
And speaking of fallout, let's talk about the witnesses and victims allegedly caught in Diddy's web. The accusations against him paint a picture of a man willing to go to extreme lengths to silence those who might stand against him. Prosecutors have pointed to numerous instances where witnesses were reportedly contacted and pressured, either directly or indirectly, to stay quiet or provide favorable testimony. Some were allegedly offered financial incentives, while others faced veiled threats. One chilling detail from the court filings revealed that Diddy reportedly instructed his associates to make certain witnesses disappear from the equation altogether. It's no wonder the court has repeatedly denied his bail requests, citing him as a flight risk and a danger to the integrity of the trial.
At the courthouse in Lower Manhattan, the judge ordering the prosecution to turn over its findings from a jail cell raid, Diddy's jail cell, just yesterday. What were the contents of those raids?
Well, apparently, according to the defense, their legal documents, the government's saying no. On the contrary, they're just some handwritten notes and a calendar.
Now, here's where it gets even more complicated. While Diddy is orchestrating his defense from behind bars, what about Jay Z? His name has been dragged into the same legal quagmire, with accusations piling up against him as well. A civil lawsuit filed by an anonymous woman has accused Jay Z of being complicit in some of the most heinous allegations yet. The lawsuit alleges that he and Diddy were involved in a shocking incident over 2 decades ago, and while Jay-Z has vehemently denied these claims, his response has done little to quell the growing storm around him. In fact, his statement urging the accuser to file criminal charges instead of a civil suit has only added fuel to the fire, with critics accusing him of deflecting responsibility and attempting to discredit the victim.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
And let's not overlook the timing of all this. Jay-Z's addition to the lawsuit came after months of speculation about his connection to Diddy's legal troubles. Some have suggested that the two moguls, once seen as friendly rivals, might now be entangled in a mutual defense strategy. Could Jay-Z be quietly supporting Diddy's efforts to control the narrative, or is he simply trying to distance himself from the scandal altogether? Either way, his involvement has cast a shadow over his otherwise pristine public image, raising questions about how deep these allegations might run.
A blistering statement. Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?"
What's particularly striking is how both men, despite their vastly different circumstances, one in jail and the other free, seem to be united by a common thread: their alleged use of power and influence to manipulate those around them. For Diddy, it's about maintaining control from within the walls of a detention center, using every trick in the book to bend the system to his will. For Jay-Z, it's about navigating the court of public opinion, where his every move is scrutinized under a magnifying glass. Together, they represent a case study in how far-reaching the influence of high-profile figures can be, even when faced with serious allegations. But the real question is, how has this affected the people at the center of it all, the witnesses and victims? The emotional and psychological toll on them cannot be overstated. Imagine the courage it takes to come forward with allegations against two of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry, knowing full well the backlash and scrutiny you'll face. And yet, despite the alleged pressure tactics, some have chosen to speak out, determined to see justice served. Their bravery in the face of such overwhelming odds is a testament to the human spirit, even as it underscores the darker side of celebrity culture.
He, of course, is more than annoyed, would be an understatement. He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down, her.
As this saga unfolds, one can't help but wonder, will the truth finally come to light? Or will the influence of these two moguls continue to cloud the pursuit of justice? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: this story is far from over. And as the court battles rage on, the world will be watching, waiting to see whether Diddy and Jay Z can escape the consequences of their alleged actions, or if this marks the beginning of the end for their reign at the top of the entertainment world.
And of course, the allegation is that Mr. Combs did the same thing. And so if those facts are actually accurate, it would require an investigation by prosecutors. And if true, right, you could pursue it criminally.
With Diddy's legal team scrambling to rein him in and Jay-Z's name being dragged further into the controversy, the stage is set for a showdown that could redefine the legacies of both men. But how did it come to this? To truly understand the depths of their current predicament, we need to take a step back and explore the rise of these two titans, how they built their empires, the choices they made along the way, and the dark secrets that may have been lurking beneath the surface all along. The rise of Diddy and Jay Z is a story that began with ambition, talent, and shared hunger for success. Two young men from New York, each determined to escape their tough beginnings and make their mark on the world. Diddy, with his larger-than-life personality and knack for promotion, and Jay-Z, with his razor-sharp wit and unparalleled lyrical skill, seemed destined to shape the music industry. But their success, as dazzling as it may seem, carries a shadow, one that has grown darker with every new revelation about their alleged exploits and the questionable tactics they've used to climb to the top.
If they did in fact occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, and not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, of engaging and voluntarily engaging in this conduct and being in those spaces, consuming alcohol and things of that nature. So certainly either.
Let's rewind to the early days, back when the world was just starting to take notice of these two powerhouses. Diddy, born seeing calms, was already making waves as a young intern at Uptown Records. Even then, he was known for his relentless drive. Stories from those who worked with him paint a picture of someone who would stop at nothing to get ahead. He wasn't just ambitious. He was strategic, always calculating his next move. And when he launched Bad Boy Entertainment in 1993, it was clear that he wasn't just trying to play the game. He was determined to rewrite the rules. Meanwhile, Jay Z, born Sean Carter, was honing his craft as a street poet turned rapper. Unlike Diddy, Jay Z's rise was slower and more methodical. He didn't burst onto the scene with flashy parties or big-name cosigns. Instead, he built his reputation brick by brick, releasing his debut album, Reasonable Doubt, in 1996 under his own label, Rockefeller Records. The album was a critical success, and it set the tone for what would become a career defined by both lyrical brilliance and ruthless business acumen.
It sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes. This was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so it's, to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotaping.
The two men quickly became fixtures in the hip-hop world, but their paths didn't truly cross until the late 90s. By then, Diddy had already established himself as a mogul, with Bad Boy dominating the charts thanks to artists like the Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, and 112. Jay Z, on the other hand, was emerging as a force to be reckoned with, not just as a rapper, but as a businessman. Their friendship, fueled by mutual respect and a shared understanding of the hustle, was cemented during this time. But like any relationship built in a high-stakes world of entertainment, it wasn't without its complications. Diddy and Jay Z's friendship was often referred to as a friendly rivalry, but behind the scenes, there was always an undercurrent of competition. Both men wanted to be seen as the king of New York, the ultimate symbol of success in hip-hop. And while they collaborated on projects and supported each other publicly, there were whispers of tension. Some say Diddy resented Jay Z's growing influence, especially as Rockefeller began to rival Bad Boy's dominance. Others claim Jay Z viewed Diddy as more of a showman than a true artist, someone who relied on flash and spectacle rather than substance.
Everybody familiar with the old Houdini? So what Diddy's lawyers are trying to do is pull a Houdini. They're trying to say that the evidence that they have is different. Well, it's not different. The video that the entire world has seen is not going to go away. The fact that he had parties that were freak-offs is not going away. So it's just a question of whether or not Diddy is able to make bond.
Despite these rumors, the two men maintained a united front, often appearing together at industry events and even collaborating on music. But their bond was tested in 1999 when both found themselves embroiled in legal troubles. That year, Diddy was arrested following a nightclub incident, while Jay Z faced his own charges after an altercation with a record executive. The incidents, though unrelated, marked a turning point for both men. Suddenly, their carefully crafted images were at risk, and they were forced to confront the reality that their actions had consequences. For Diddy, the fallout was immediate. Though he was ultimately acquitted, the scandal tarnished his reputation and raised questions about the culture of excess and recklessness that seemed to define Bad Boy at the time. Jay Z, on the other hand, managed to escape relatively unscathed, thanks in part to his legal team and his ability to spin the narrative in his favor. But the events of 1999 served as a wake-up call for both men, reminding them that the same system that had elevated them to stardom could just as easily bring them down.
That's it. You know, if it is privilege, of course they won't. But if it really is what the prosecution says, that has nothing to do with the case, or even worse, it's actually evidence of witness tampering, because we all know the attorney-client privilege, there's a crime fraud exception. You can't use your lawyer to perpetuate a future or continuing fraud or crime. So if the documents are what the government says they are, they're going to get them again. And again, it's just going to be a matter of days because I don't expect.
In the years that followed, Diddy and Jay Z focused on expanding their empires. Diddy delved into fashion, launching his Xinjiang clothing line, while Jay Z diversified his portfolio with ventures in sports management, streaming services, and real estate. Their influence extended far beyond music, and they became symbols of what was possible for Black entrepreneurs in America. But with great power came great scrutiny, and as their profiles grew, so did the rumors about their behavior behind the scenes. One of the most persistent allegations against both men is their alleged exploitation of those around them. For Diddy, this often took the form of controlling his artists and maintaining an iron grip on Bad Boy's operations. Numerous former Bad Boy artists have come forward over the years with claims of unfair contracts, unpaid royalties, and even psychological manipulation. Mace, one of the label's most successful acts, famously accused Diddy of refusing to sell him back the rights to his music, despite Mace offering a substantial sum. And he's not the only one. Artists like Faith Evans, Total, and 112 have all hinted at feeling undervalued and underpaid during their time at Bad Boy.
They probably didn't see these notes, and they never will.
But if you're Diddy, don't you want your notes back?
Yeah.
If you've spent so many hours gathering evidence for your side or, strategy or whatever, for me, I'd be oh no, please don't destroy, please return.
Jay Z, while not as openly combative with his artists, has faced his own share of criticism. His feud with former Rock A-Fella co-founder Dame Dash is one of the most infamous splits in hip-hop history. Once seen as inseparable partners, the two had a falling out in the early 2000s, with Dash accusing Jay Z of betrayal and greed. The breakup of Rockefeller was a messy and public affair, and it left many wondering if Jay Z's ambition had come at the expense of his loyalty. But perhaps the most shocking allegations against Diddy and Jay Z are those that have surfaced in recent years. Both men have been accused of using their power and influence to manipulate and intimidate others, particularly women. These allegations, though unproven, have cast a dark shadow over their legacies and raised serious questions about the culture of the music industry. For Diddy, the claims are particularly damning, given his current legal troubles and the growing number of people willing to speak out against him. Jay Z, while not facing the same level of scrutiny, has also had his name dragged into the mix, with some suggesting that his silence on certain issues speaks volumes.
I'm not surprised with the decision. I'm surprised that Judge Subramanian entertained it. He held a 2-hour hearing, which we were covering live, and he issued a 5-page written order. Most other judges, including the 2 previous judges, to consider this issue, summarily denied the bail motion. I think a lot of it stems from Judge Subramanian being a newer judge. This is a Biden appointee. He has a civil background.
The accusations have also shown a light on the dynamic between the two men. While they've always been seen as equals, it's clear that their relationship is far more complicated than it appears. Some insiders claim that Diddy has long resented Jay Z's ability to stay above the fray, avoiding the scandals and controversies that have plagued his own career. Others believe that Jay Z has deliberately distanced himself from Diddy in recent years, wary of being associated with the mogul's increasingly tarnished reputation.
I agree, and the risk of flight was always going to be a tough argument for the government because obviously Combs voluntarily came to New York. He surrendered his passports through his lawyer. He could have fled after the March raids of his Miami and Los Angeles homes, but he didn't. He has access to 2 private jets. I think it was a tougher argument. I know the government made the argument, but clearly the best argument was the dangerousness and the witness tampering. They had much more evidence.
What's undeniable is the impact Diddy and Jay Z have had on the music industry and beyond. Their rise to the top is a testament to their talent, ambition, and drive. But it's also a cautionary tale about the cost of success and the lengths some are willing to go to maintain their power. As the allegations against them continue to unfold, the world is left to wonder how much of their success was built on talent and hard work, and how much was the result of manipulation and exploitation. As this saga continues, one thing is clear: Diddy and Jay Z's legacies are more complicated than anyone could have imagined. Their story isn't just about fame and fortune, it's about power, control, and the dark side of the music industry. And while their fans may continue to celebrate their achievements, the growing number of voices speaking out against them serves as a stark reminder that even the most untouchable figures can be brought to account. The question now is, how will they navigate this storm? Will they emerge unscathed, or will this be the moment that defines their careers and their lives? Only time will tell. And as the world watches, one thing is certain: the story of Diddy and Jay Z is far from over. So, what do you think? Are Diddy and Jay Z truly untouchable, or is this the beginning of the end for their reign at the top? How far will they go to maintain their power and influence? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay tuned for more celebrity gossip and insider details. Goodbye for now.